when I was playing against NRG.
Yeah.
Like I was winning my lane.
Yeah.
But I like realized how bad I was outside of lane, you know? And I put like all my intention into solo queue, just like focusing on the mid to late game. I guess you could kind of see it on stage that I'm like starting to play more consistent. Yeah, I think that's like mainly it. Just getting completely f***ed in the mid to late game. Like, he was just side laning against us the entire game.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I couldn't do anything. I've never felt this hopeless before.
Actually, I did realize. I was
so
like,
mind-blowing.
I wonder when they're gonna swap lanes.
What's up, guys? We're in another episode of Pros. I've got here Tactical, Sniper, and Palafox. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. You guys just actually came out of a game, and we were just talking about, the game somewhat. So, first of all, you don't remember much.
I just looked at my screen and just focused on what I was hitting, yeah.
But for you, like, just overall, just thoughts on the game, because you guys went LeBlanc Jhin, which we haven't really seen. It was like pretty low damage, but still like a good pick comp, and side lane in general. I kind of felt like that would kind of be a hard comp to run because they had Nocturne as well for sides, but you didn't really get to play sides that game, it felt like.
So I think the most important timer is I should have just kept splitting top instead of rotating mid at like 15, 16 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And it would have made our future rounds better and our Dragon rounds better.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like, I think we could have won it if we like played it a bit slower. Like, we're a very slow comp, you know? Like, we don't do much damage. It's burst.
Yeah.
Let Viego pick up somebody, let him do his thing, and then like another burst, right? And then we're just playing slow. I think we just went way too fast and just kind of.
A lot's been happening so far this Super Week, so I'm just gonna ask for you first, and I'll just like go across. Like, Super Week is a lot. Just feel about how has Super Week been for you in general? Because 3 games in 1 week in general, it kind of feels like even if you make mistakes on day 1, you can't really go back and really deep dive on it. So like, you guys kind of had a bit of a struggle for Super Week, or just like feel like some of the easier games felt harsher. What was your feel on it?
I mean, this week was a bit awkward. I thought the first game's draft was pretty bad for us. We're outranged. We lose side. We lose front to back. So we need to like be very creative or win very early. Like Juan ended up playing really well, invading. Because he's invading, I'm just gonna fight this guy to the death like throughout my entire laning phase.
Yeah.
And then hope we win from there for the first game. The second game, that one didn't happen. Third game, what is this one? I just thought, like, draft is pretty even. Can win, can lose if we play it well.
Yeah.
So.
That makes sense. Is the team environment just been okay overall? Because last split, you guys were the argumentative team. I'm imagining that's still the case.
I would say we probably argue a bit more now. So. Yeah. I mean, it's a good thing, T1 is like, arguing is good. We argue all the time, so it's probably for the best.
Same with you. Tactical. How's the team environment overall?
I think we're chilling. We're vibing a lot, have a lot of fun. For today's game, sorry, Palafox, but from my perspective, at least playing Varus, I was like, wow, this game's a free win as long as their LeBlanc is not fed.
Yeah,
I'm like, wow, they have 3 champs I'm just gonna hit fucking whack over and over and just kill.
Yeah.
We lost yesterday versus 100 Thieves, and during draft, our brains exploded. Our brains exploded, and that was the end of it.
Wait a minute.
I knew going into the game when all 10 champs were picked.
Yeah.
Wow, this is gonna be a rough one, guys. Yeah. I obviously don't say that.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep hopes up, but like I'm sure a lot of people were thinking like it was kind of awkward because even the vibe was afterwards like, oh, we kind of messed up a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And honestly, I don't remember who I played versus this week. Oh, it was C9, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a heist and a half. we take those. We take those. Yeah.
Well, get to C9 a little bit, but like same thing for you, because like you guys have been ramping up Sniper. So like it started a little slow. I mean, you guys had like that one Seraphine comp, but overall like the games were scrappy. It's your first split, but like overall, how's the vibe on your team? And yeah, you kicked your teeth in, so.
Yeah. I mean, the vibes have been very good, I think. Everybody's been just like very patient with how I'm developing.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of the split, I was like turbo boosted, I didn't even think I was like playing at like an LCS level.
Yeah.
I was playing at like an academy level or even below that, But overall, as I was like progressing through the split, we were scrimming more, and I was just like starting to regain back my confidence in a way. I I guess started learning like a lot about just how I'm playing the game and just playing the game in general, you know? So then that kind of, yeah, now I'm just like slowly trying to get back on track, and I'm trying to just become like a good top laner, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been going very good for sure.
That makes sense to me. Like, I feel like confidence is probably the biggest takeaway. Every time I ask a player what they're working on, it's a lot about just keeping consistent. Like, of course, personally, but I think people say that a lot just because I'm sure scrim environment is generally pretty hectic. But like for you guys, in terms of confidence, is it easy to get, like, especially because you guys, people say you guys, Tactical, like IMT has been having a lot of scrim bucks. You guys win a lot of scrims. Maybe not this week. I don't know. It's kind of been up and down. But like, talk about how you guys handle confidence in general, especially with coming off of like a bad scrim week.
For us, at least, last week we did really well. The record was like pretty high. This week we kind of ran it down. Not gonna lie, it was a lot of awkwardness and like just like we weren't meshing this week basically compared to last week. But we talked a lot just together as five and coach as a team after our last day of scrims, and we just yapped a lot about the game, and we finally came to some understandings and conclusions. And after that, it actually felt a lot better because by the time it was stage match day versus C9, even though the results weren't good from scrims, going to the game, I think everyone felt pretty confident, and you know, we were just talked everything out, so it was good.
How's it been with specifically Mask and Castle?
Their English is way better than I thought it was gonna be. Mask, he's not much a talker always, but he got understand everything we're saying basically. And Castle's been improving quite fast in English.
Yeah.
When he first came, he even understands like some memes now. Like we said the word yap so much, they know it now. Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah. It's really good. So we have like our own memes, like, so it's fun.
That makes sense. That makes sense. For you guys as a whole, like, it's the halfway point of the split, kind of going by pretty quick. What's a topic that you guys feel like is the one that you want to talk about the most? Because I have one that comes to mind immediately. I'll just say it, C9.
Oh yeah,
So,
Yeah.
it's banger.
yeah, like,
A little rough for them, for sure.
expectation coming into this split was that they'd be the super team. But now I'm hearing people like APA on stage, but just generally people didn't really feel that to begin with. Who wants to take this one? I guess you. You're the one that's grinning. So.
That's all you.
I don't know. You heard it in that one interview I gave, right? Where it's like, it feels like they don't really like mesh together too well. When I'm watching all their games, it seems like JoJo's out there trying his hardest. And the Tristana game is an example, like against IMT, right? Yeah, actually, in the Tristana game that he played, Armal walked mid, shielded Mask like 10 times throughout the laning phase, and JoJo is just sitting there, like doing his job, going even CS, like after Ivern's like spending so much time, right? I think that probably just seems like some of their players lost their identity, and when you look back to Blabber's, like, I guess like his best play style, it's like when he's able to like invade, maybe not necessarily like play such a rigid play style, except on Olaf. Like that play style was just it was very rigid, camps, dragon.
Yeah.
But I thought, I used to think like Blabber was like invade jungle, Vulcan was like a tempo player, and Fudge was very like consistent at like knowing his job in the game. I think they're a little bit too lost in the sauce on draft, and they're not actually working as a unit to like get wins. They're just playing their own champions and hoping the game works out.
Like, are they still a great team?
Well, no, they're not a good team.
Yes.
They're great individual players.
Yeah.
They're good individual players, but they're not a great team.
What was your thought, Tactical? Because you guys ended up taking the win over them.
Yeah, I mean, even before this split started, when I thought of C9, I was thinking like this team's main strength is probably going to be the individual skill of other players.
Yeah.
And hope if they mesh well, it's great for them. But I still wasn't sure if they would like mesh well. And I think they have shown that definitely it's not the best teamwork they have.
Yeah.
And I think they rely a lot on their individual skill to win the games right now.
That
And
makes
it has
sense.
been working out recently, especially this week.
This last game that we just saw on the last day of Super Week, the one that was kind of curious to me was on 4-pick they went Lilia actually. They went Lilia against like multiple range, like when they had a chance to go Orianna and Rel. It's like basically another tank jungle, but they didn't end up going for it. And I thought it was like a really bad case for like Lilia jungle in general. So whenever I see that, I always ask the question because like obviously we don't see a damn thing. Like we don't see what's happening in scrims, in comms, just in, like. So for me, it's a little worrying when you see something, them walking away from a pick that is ideal. I feel like. Maybe it's them having like not really having faith in like the process or like other players or something like that. Like, have you guys had an experience like that where you were on a team before? Like, once again, you've been on teams prior coming into this. It was like amateur teams and all that, but like you've probably had examples of you guys are not a unit, you guys don't see eye to eye, and it's starting to impact play and draft. Like, have you guys had that moment, and do you guys recall like something like that happening?
Sorry.
No, you can go first.
Okay,
It's all
okay.
good. Yeah.
No, something that can happen, I think, is when a player that is used to like maybe carries, for example,
Yeah.
or up on a tank, they can't like visualize or like visualize the game like winning, like because for example, there's some champs that individually if you put just one champ alone, obviously they're gonna suck.
Yeah.
But if you put 2 champs or 3 champs together, it's gonna be really strong as combos. But I think what might happen is if you don't really see the angles, like let's say Rel, say you're playing Rel,
Yeah.
and you don't really see the angles where it's really winning because you're too focused on like you yourself can't do much.
Yeah.
Then you're like kind of like it looks whatever. But there are times where if a different player might think, oh wow, it's such a free win. I have Orianna when I'm playing Rel. It's like so easy to play the game, team fights, stuff like that.
So just not on the same page
Yeah,
on what is
yeah.
good as a team. Because like usually those tough conversations, like the arguments, clear that up. So
100%.
so what about you, Sniper? Because like I guess a lot of the times when you're on like academy teams or amateur teams, a lot of times that's when those conversations should happen. Because a lot of it is also just kind of like knowledge gaps. So maybe one person doesn't know it as much as the next. Like I guess I'm asking like in the teams that you've been in the past, how many tough conversations have you had to like just be a better team?
I mean, the teams I've been on in the past,
Yeah.
like the only thing I could really do, to be honest, was just like focus on my own self.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was just like always translating on stage, you know, or like just
Okay, that's fair.
whenever I'd play my amateur matches or academy. But I think, I mean, the important part is to just have a decent relationship with your teammates, you know, so you can just like talk to them about whatever you want to talk to them, you know, too.
Yeah.
And I think that like, yeah, I mean, you just gotta talk to your teammates and like see what they're thinking.
That's fair.
Just everything.
Palafox, you're smiling over there.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't think academy players know, like, they don't got the clear mind about it. You know, like, if an academy player has that in them, they're either an LCS player or they're a coach.
Yeah.
Like,
For a lot of people as well, though. You know? Yeah, I mean, that is pretty fair.
there's a lot of LCS players that don't even have that. So,
Yeah.
like, I mean, what you're asking about is literally just, most of it is about the jungle role. I think Juan in specific is like really good at seeing like, you have to trust your team to carry on these champs, right?
Yes.
You're like, I'm not gonna pick a dog champ into like a Brand or a Lilia because I'm gonna get ran.
Yeah.
But then like as an AD carry or like a mid laner, you're like, well, it doesn't matter. We're just gonna carry the game. Like,
Yeah, I mean they can't play ball lane or something.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, let's say I'll use the Shopify draft, right?
Do it.
We're Nico against Sion. I get perma push. We're Kalista Ashe. They get perma push and they can set up dives. And we have a Nocturne, right? Honestly, I think the draft could have been a bit better. We could have just picked like Rel, obviously pretty low damage, but their ball in should be okay.
They get permadove.
Yes,
Yes.
they literally can't play from like minute 1, right?
Yeah.
And this can just be something in draft, right? Maybe it's something that like we didn't see in draft, that we didn't see this was an option. But realistically, there are some games that are just over if your team is willing to play like dog jungle or dog mid. Like Insanity is playing like Sion mid for
Sion.
fucking Boogie.
Yes.
You know, like it's just, that's just how it is sometimes, and not so many players have that. Props to Insanity for playing Sion mid. I don't really like it too much, but like maybe I'll pull it out if it's looking good, you know?
Yeah.
Who knows?
That makes sense. I mean, like, also, I guess so much has actually happened, it feels like, in such a short time, only because, yes, Spring Split, a lot of changing rosters. So I feel like a lot of teams kind of have to get on the same page, and that's already going to be hard. And then you have the patches that came out, so it feels like the meta being so unstable is also making the game qualities feel really rough. So like, what would you attribute it, like the gameplay so far we're seeing from a lot of the teams? Because I think Cloud9's playing worse, yes, because they changed players, but also you're trying to chase a meta. Like, has it impacted you guys? Like, I would actually go for you, Palafox, because it feels like week 1, support bot lane meta. And you guys were trying a lot of different things out. And then week 2, it feels like, how difficult has it been to kind of come together and play a strong fundamental game and learn on that when the patches are changing so often?
I don't even remember what I played. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, all I can say is that in the first week, usually we have like other regions to go off. Like, what is the OP pick, right? We went through like 5 days in a row where we're like, this is the OP pick, and then we're like, wait, actually, like you can just draft this against it. It's not that OP. People obviously had insanely high Corki prio in every region, and now this champion is like dropped off a cliff because people realize that with more team coordination, more like better diving, or like maybe like with Orianna and Ivern, you can't just throw rockets and poke people out so easily anymore, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so early that people just don't know what the fuck's going on, you know?
That makes sense. And I mean, you got Ole as support, and a lot of times it feels like you guys are trying new stuff constantly, or at least like thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, we literally played Malphite support because he literally went to OPGG, saw the highest win rate support. He's like, wow, it's 57% win rate. It's so high. I'm like thinking in my head, I don't know why it's so high either, like so randomly.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, we just start picking. I'm like, wow, it feels pretty good. Like, wow, it feels pretty good. So we start playing it. I do think the ball lane meta in the games can be severely different based off the bans. Like maybe one game it's Lucian Nami versus Milio.
Yeah.
But if one of them is banned, all of a sudden is like Kalista versus Varus or like some other random matchup. Like, and maybe there's drafts where it could be Ashe, Varus, Kalista, and Lucian are gone. I mean, hypothetically.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't know what the fuck I'm picking. I actually don't know. Like, I'll pull something out, like cook something up.
Yeah. And I mean, you guys kind of, at least you guys said in your interviews, I think it was in week 2 when you guys were starting to play comps around Jace, you guys just kind of looked like you were focusing on what your strengths are.
Yeah. So, kind of going back to the point about confidence. Confidence. Like this week, I said earlier, we had a bad week of scrims, or like, it could have been way better, right? But at the end, we were talking to each other, and we were being like, we wanted honest talks, like being honest by our strengths, like what we actually want to do. That's how going into this weekend we had better confidence.
And with you, talking about comfort picks, you guys came into this, but like you first picked Ribbon. So
Literally just
Wait,
picked
really?
it.
I didn't see that.
like in his first game, he went Ribbon, so it was like,
Oh, versus Seraphine comp, right?
It was with the Seraphine
yeah,
Senna, yeah.
the Seraphine comp. And
Actually a
also,
banger.
Yeah.
also, same thing happened with Quid, where he was picking Yone, which I see him playing a lot, and solo queue in general, and Aatrox, which I heard people said, oh yeah, I played against him on his Aatrox mid.
Yeah.
So I feel like confidence when it comes to picks is a big thing, at least for you guys. Is that the kind of conversation you have with Golden Glue as a whole when you guys are thinking about drafts?
I honestly think it's the exact same thing as what Tactical was saying.
Yeah.
About just like coming into the week, just like playing what we're comfortable on, and kind of just like drafting what we're comfortable on as well. So I think, yeah, like during scrims, we were like just trying out. Actually, I'm not gonna say too much.
Yeah, no, hold on. I mean, we can always cut it, but go on, yeah.
Just yapping my head off, but yeah, like just playing what we're comfortable with, and then kind of just yeah, just like sticking to that and trying to become just like better at other things as well, you know, while we're like doing that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, how do you end up balancing that idea of just playing what's comfortable and what you guys know you're good at with the new patches that are coming out? Because next patch, I'm sure you guys haven't seen the patch notes in general, but like a good example is like Smolder's already getting played.
Oh, yeah.
So like that's going to be a pick for you, because like actually this is a great question for you.
Us.
Yes, for us. You'll be involved in the conversation, I'm sure.
I'll play top lane too, don't worry.
No.
Top lane maybe.
But actually true. I feel like Smolder mid is a pick that is looking good.
Yeah.
Maybe a little better than, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
But like, who's played Smolder so far?
I saw Insanity played Smolder and solo queue a lot.
Same with Kumo, and he's
Yeah?
like a top laner too.
So you played Smolder. Like, talk about Smolder just a little bit. Like, your vibe check on the champ.
I tried to lock him in jungle like 6 times. My team dodges every time. And then I tried to lock him in mid 3 times, and then I got 3 people trying to hit me. So then I was like, well, It's fine. I ended up playing Zeri mid. They banned out my Smolder, but
Jesus.
I did get one game in,
Okay.
and then I got flamed for the entire game. But I was doing good, so it was. Yeah.
Honestly, you might get flamed a lot picking the champ because
Yeah.
you can't do much, honestly, early game.
Yeah.
And people just fight and just int, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. Like his win rate last I checked was like 36 or whatever percent. It's
Really?
like, it was pretty bad.
so
It's probably
so
changed.
trash.
It's probably changed. Hmm?
That's so trash.
Yes.
That's like disgustingly bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad the last I checked. But it's really hard when it comes to those champions in general. Because like remember when Yumi came out, trash win rate, being broken on competitive. Zeri's another one. So like it always feels like this champion is not going to be a champion where you judge it based off solo queue.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So like did you have any thoughts? Did you even like
I
look
played
at the champ?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I like the champ a lot.
Okay.
There's obviously the base tech of going comment. Most people already know about this, but you just go comment and you put like a few points in W, and you literally just you can start Doran's ring, and you can W the wave twice, and the whole wave is dead basically. Your W does half the HP of the range minions level 1.
Yeah.
So if you're able to pick a lane in the bot lane where you can just push and not be punished for it, for being like too weak in terms of all-ins, then I think it's great.
Yeah.
Because it scales well. It scales insanely well.
Because that's my biggest fear, man. I mean, you're an ASO player, but dude, infinite scaling champions are the weirdest thing to balance around, especially when it comes to competitive. And you're like, okay, is it easy to stack up? Because like, if it's easy to stack up, then yeah, it's gonna be probably trash in solo queue, but then broken in competitive. So, what do you guys feel about just like that design in general?
It's
But at
really-
least with Smolder, because you played it. I've had one game where I played it, or at least played against it.
It's a really simple champ, honestly. It's easy to understand once you play it. And once you understand it, it's actually really easy to play verse. You just have to, the thing that might be bullshit about it
Yeah.
is the damage. If you don't, you can't constantly look at the Smolder's items and know the damage, because you might get caught off guard really easily.
Yeah.
But you have to keep your tabs on the champion, or else you're just gonna die randomly, I guess. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay.
And you said, have you even thought, like, have you played Smolder top? I feel like it's trash top. Like, it's not even something you should probably play. But I'm just putting it out there. If you've already tried and thought about it, then you can start talking about it.
I mean, I personally haven't tried it out yet,
Yeah.
but I've seen like just some top laners play in solo queue, and I mean, it just looks disgustingly bad.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna stay away from that champion for until people start playing it.
That makes sense. And even though this pick has not been changed at all going into the next week, Lucian has just been a constant conversation because it's not been good. I think it's 1-7 so far in the LCS, with the one win being the Team Liquid win.
0-2, right? He was 0-2 and he won the game.
Yes, yes. So it wasn't even a good game to base it off of. Do you think it's a good pick in general? Because just go for it.
Well, in the LCK, in general, Asia looks stronger. But
Yeah.
also, I do think the Bloodfang item helps it with the damage a lot more. And obviously, we're playing on live patch, so we can't do the double sprite attack anymore.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure, honestly. It's like maybe in scrims they'll randomly win lane, and then all of a sudden it's just running over everyone in mid lane.
Yeah.
But maybe on stage, a lot of times whenever I see Lucian on stage, it's just farming, and that's it. Literally, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel, because I think it was the Team Liquid game today. They just basically played at Philios Lulu, and just in general, scaling has just been a little bit better. In the LCS, yes, but also the games just feel longer, both in LEC, LCS, like on the new patch, because ever since they nerfed Storm Surge and then buffed a lot of I guess more scaling champions, the game has just really stalled out. Do you think it is because of just teams not closing properly or all these things, or do you think it's mostly just how the game state is right now?
I mean, today there was a lot of get me out games.
What is a get me out game?
Just fucking keep fighting until it's over.
I feel like that's how every game's been, to be honest.
Yeah?
Besides, there was one game earlier today that was just really slow. But for the rest of the games, ever since LCS started, I feel like everybody's just been fighting to the death. Literally just 24/7, just fight.
Well-
or our team at least.
Yes,
Not IMT. Not IMT.
No,
Dude, we had a game versus C9. It was 0-1 to kills in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Honestly, I couldn't even believe it was after the game finished and I saw how long the game was. It said 37 minutes. I'm like, what do we do for that? I mean, it was just AFK.
Yeah.
Both teams were kind of AFK that game, honestly. So, yeah, just blame both of us.
But So like, why weren't you fighting? Because that game was, yes, it went long. So explain it a bit, because I heard at least Ole in the interview he was like, yeah, Karma, that lane's gonna be a pain.
Oh yeah, I knew. I mean, the drop was in. I'm like, oh my god, I hope we could just lane normally, and we lost tower at like 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it took a long time afterwards. Is it just because like your comp really can't do much at that point, or?
Well, they should have pushed the lead more, especially with Tristana side laning, but
Yeah.
they literally forgot side lane existed. So luckily, I was able to get 3 items. Even though when I got 3 items, I was not playing as aggressive as I should have been.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna be honest, I should have didn't play that much Ezreal and scrims that week. So like, I was not as confident. Just even though in my head I know I'm strong,
Yeah.
it just wasn't showing. Also, I missed a fuck ton of ults and Qs, and that didn't help
Yeah.
progress the game. So
Okay, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, especially for, yeah, there's not been a lot of side laning, I feel like.
Yeah.
That has probably been the one thing that, because teams are a little bit too worried about the fights keep happening.
I mean, I was doing that today. I was
Yeah.
like side laning quite a bit,
Yeah.
actually, for like the entire game, besides like 1 or 2 fights.
Oh, wait.
So I guess it, like,
So your team just wasn't like forcing fights? Is that like the thing you were focusing on in scrims, or did it just happen naturally in the game?
I mean, it kind of just happens naturally in the game.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to adapt to like whatever situation you're like thrown in, you know?
Yeah.
I saw the opportunity that I could just like take a bunch of towers.
There's no fucking playing safe in scrims. The other bot lanes
Let's
are
take
just
that.
running it mid, and if you're
Yeah.
not there,
In scrims, but like on stage, at least like you just need to learn to just
Yeah.
adapt like a human, you know? Like, that's like kind of what I was
Adapt
doing
like a
today.
human?
Yeah, adapt like a human. I don't even know if that makes
that's a
sense.
good way to put it.
That is a good way.
You just gotta adapt, and then like, yeah, I was like doing that against the guy I was playing against, and then yeah, I was just farming a lot, got like 2 items, and then I guess I just did my job in team fights. So it just depends.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to ask this. It's a pretty big topic, but focusing on you a little bit. You're starting off in the LCS.
Sir?
And at least in the NBA community, whenever they ask like players, they ask like, what was your welcome to the NBA moment? Which is like, you go into the big leagues and you get checked by someone that you just didn't expect it. You realize like you have to work 10 times harder and all that. So what was your welcome to the LCS moment? It could be scrims as well. Like, it doesn't have to just be on stage. But, like, when did you realize like, oh, actually, I'm getting my ass kicked?
I mean, that's pretty valid. I think it was kind of against when I was playing against you guys, when I was playing against NRG.
Yeah.
Like, I was winning my lane.
Yeah.
But I, like, realized how bad I was outside of lane, you know? At that, like, during that game. So as soon as, like, that game finished, I was, like, just super mind-blown. And I put, like, all my intention into solo queue, just, like, focusing on the mid to late game, because I already knew that my laning was good.
Yeah.
And then from then on, like, I guess you could kind of see it on stage that I'm, like, starting to play more consistent. But, yeah, I think that's, like, mainly it. Just getting completely f***ed in the mid to late game. Like, he was just side laning against us the entire game.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I couldn't do anything. I've never felt this hopeless before.
Actually, I did realize.
It
I
was
was
so
like,
mind-blowing.
I wonder when they're gonna swap lanes. Going into the pregame, I was like, I'm just gonna Dokla just go against Akali. You'll be fine. Take Vi over there. I'll 1v2 whoever goes bot.
That's really important, I think.
Yeah.
Like, and we didn't know that during that time.
Yeah.
You know, so they were just like completely out macroing us.
Yeah.
It was so disgusting.
It was kind of funny because I remember like you guys tried to like TV behind me and like you ghosted on me.
Oh, God,
And I was just like,
don't
what are
remind
they
me of that.
doing? I just EQ'd out. I was like, I walked away. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna. My Jace pushed bot. I'm like, let's swap again.
Like 5 or 6 times during that game,
Yeah.
by the way. Like they did
was
that
so
a bunch
funny.
of times against us.
That's hilarious. Actually, Palafox, I'm interested now. What was your like welcome to the LCS moment? Because when you came in through FlyQuest. Because I remember seeing a lot of your games in Cloud9 Challengers. People were calling you Palafaker. You're actually probably the only Academy player that played sides, I'm not gonna lie. Like played side lanes in general. But then you were on FlyQuest and like that was a pretty tough time in general. Like you can just talk through FlyQuest or whatever you want to like talk about in that moment, but like what was a moment where you're like, this shit's gonna be harder than I thought?
Yeah.
My team was bad. The second like 3 weeks in, I was like, damn, I'm not really playing that well, but I'm not getting shit on. And then I was like, my teammates don't really know anything either. I was like, damn, I don't know what to do here. But it was just like nobody has the knowledge to push anyone else forward, you know?
Yeah.
Like one of those.
Gotcha.
We only kind of, it was more like a dragging down situation, you know?
Whenever you get into moments like that, I always feel like, at least people say greater sum of their parts whenever a team is like, okay, we're not the greatest team, but at least if we are on the same page, we can get better. Was there any moment like that on that team?
No, we were just individual players. That the greater sum was if I was on Yone and Jose was on Lilia,
Yeah.
we'd win every game, and that was our strategy.
Yeah.
That was it.
And how do you like stay motivated in a situation like that? Because like you've been in the tactical, you were literally.
Better question.
I'm just saying, last 2 years have been rough, guys.
How do you stay motivated and pushing yourself when you're in a team that feels like you're trapped, and on top of that, the community's gonna say whatever the hell they want.
You have to gaslight yourself. In order to not lose your mind, sometimes you have to gaslight yourself. We're doing good. We're doing fine. This is okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I mean, not like complete gaslight. You don't go like Delulu mode. You go like, okay, we suck. Just hope like, for example, I think if you're a weak team overall and you're kind of just hoping on picks to like win the game, like he said, like Lilione.
Yeah.
For me, in my head, that's Zyrocon. I'm like, just pick Zyrocon. They'll never punish because it's on stage, and just I'll carry the game because people suck at laning on stage, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Even until this day, Zyrocon is still your.
yeah, I mean, I can still pick it whenever I want.
All
I'll pick against Bears Ash, and no problem. Zyrocon on stage, pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just like basically you just try and convince yourself that like everything will be fine, right?
Yeah, just hope for the best.
But like, what was your, I guess, like welcome to the LCS moment? Because like you came in with Core JJ kind of honestly like halfway through the year, right?
Yeah, it was.
Go for it.
Honestly, I don't remember.
You don't?
I can't think of one. Yeah.
Because at least like I guess that was like a quite a long time ago. But then I'm sure like it got a little bit tougher because talking about like when you were on TSM, because I feel like that's when it started to get a little harder. You were on a worse team of that instance.
Okay, maybe it wasn't necessarily a moment, but I think when I first came to League, I wasn't like smurfing or anything. I was just doing my job.
Yeah.
I think at the start I struggled in the laning phase a lot, like especially against Sven and was it Vulcan CN ball lane at the time?
Yeah.
I think they were way more. I could tell they're just way better consistently at a higher level. And at the time I struggled, but now over time, like after a year, I think I was able to keep up better.
Yeah.
I was able to pick up on some of their ideas. Like for example, a classic event is like if they have a pushing ball in, he'll just make you think he's about to recall, but instead he'll just hide in the bush for 5 seconds and you'll recall, and then he'll push the extra wave, so you lose like a wave maybe.
Yeah.
That's like a classic thing he did all the time. I'm sure he still does it to this day.
Yeah.
Like, but stuff like that you just learn and pick up on, and I was able to just recognize it more, and just also realize his strength was like, he loved getting dragons. I'm pretty sure.
The
That
game
guy,
dragons?
Yeah. Like if he's winning bot, he's gonna get dragon no matter what.
Okay.
Like stuff like that, like
Yeah.
you just pick up on it and you learn.
Yeah. What like tactic did you feel like you picked up on, or what player specifically? Like did you get get a swift kick in the ass? Like it had to have happened one time where you're like, okay, I need to like learn this matchup.
Okay, the biggest like welcome to LCS moment was when I was in academy. Like this is the most like biggest gap. It was when I was on CNN Academy.
Yeah.
We were playing against C9 in scrims when they were like turbo dominant.
Yes.
We played them 5 days in a row because it was like leading up to playoffs for them. We had like one win. We had one single win, and it was like even if I won lane, it didn't matter. Even if I was like hard stomping or someone else was hard stomping, did not matter. Like macro and like team play was just always the most important thing. And, like that's kind of where I got the whole like. I started understanding a bit more, like you need to play with your team a bit more. I think at the time, Blabber always did like Raptor invades for Niski, so if Niski was losing lane, well, Blabber's right there getting an advantage and he's just right next to mid, so you can just help him out.
Yeah.
Or it's like, even though I'm winning 1v1, I can't push my advantage because there's a jungler here, and now he's just pushing and going bot, right?
Yeah.
And it just felt like absolutely unplayable, like absolutely unplayable, like can breathe type levels.
Oh my god.
And then we threw out the enemy academy team fast for like 3-1 or something. So
Oh yeah, in the finals.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was really easy. It was like we were all like going into it like, oh my god, we're gonna lose. Like there's no way. And it's like, it's fine, you know, we'll just play our best. And then we're like, oh, those games are easy.
Oh my god.
Actually, like,
Yeah.
just before that, because actually I always forget about on the scrim conversation. There are some teams that just like really drive themselves in scrims, even when the mental is real down. I hear you guys. So you guys, you're still doing 2 blocks, right? You guys are doing 2 blocks separately, but you're not. You're doing a 3rd block.
Yeah, I think this going to Super Week, we night blocked every night. I think night blocks are generally 2 games for us. So you do regular 2 blocks, and after that you'll eat, and then just play 2 more games. Honestly, we're a team that tries pretty hard in scrim. We put a lot of effort in. So honestly, it's really draining at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because there are some teams that try a lot, like, or there's some teams that obviously like there's stage team or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you feel like the triple block helps out? Because I've had players when I was coaching where it's like the 3rd block is just useless. Like they're completely drained.
I think we make good use of it at least. We try to use it as a means to clarify like a matchup, for example, or like if we think the champion is strong, we try to use it for that purpose. I think we're pretty good at setting goals and like putting focuses on certain concepts. So I think Immortals as a team, we make good use of it.
That makes sense. How about you guys? Do you guys even like the concept of just triple blocking in general?
I mean, for me at least, I get like too drained after like our 2nd block. I kind of just want to eat.
Yeah.
And then just like chill for a little bit, and then play solo queue after that. So in my eyes, it's like we should just never 3 block, or sorry, triple block.
Yeah.
At all. So that's what I think about it.
How about you, Pala?
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah. It's pretty tired.
I don't want to triple block. That's
Actually,
like a bit much.
after day 1 of Super Week this weekend, we almost had a night block. We almost played 2 games against another team, but that didn't end up happening.
Okay.
Which I was kind of low-key kind of grateful.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But yeah, that almost happened.
Because I feel like every player will have their different processes of like getting better, of like improvement.
Yeah.
And hitting their goals. Like there was quite a few players who just like will VOD review instead of just or like just think about their matchup or solo queue. Right. Actually, you grind solo queue and you'll stream it. So like
Occasionally.
Yeah. So like what I say for Palafox, like what's your thought process and like how do you generally improve as a player overall? Like what do you think is your best way of improvement?
My best way of improvement is just like, I don't really take too much from scrims other than like how something can potentially be played out. So like, let's say when I was talking about like the Nico game against Shopify, it's like we should just pick a dog jungle and dive bot permanently.
Yeah.
I put a lot of thought into that, and that's not really thinking about like my role.
Yeah.
It's just thinking about how like we can amplify other roles, right? So like, let's say is the Nico pick, I should just involve myself, right? And I think that's kind of where I put my efforts towards. On top of that, like I do play solo queue, and I just kind of think about what I think would be strong against the meta picks all the time.
Yeah.
So from that, I just tell my team like this is how I'd want to draft, or like this is how I want this pick to like shape out, and like we can do these types of things. And I think that's kind of where I put my energy towards.
Okay. As for the AD carry and top laner, I feel like a solo queue a lot of times is hard to get conclusions off of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
So like I'll start with tactical. Like what's your processes of improvement and growth?
I played the lane until. Okay, the problem is with bot lane and solo queue is first there's a lot of random matchups. Like my support locked in Soda and the enemy support locked in Straka, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on, guys. Just hope one support plays better and we win or something. But like sometimes even when they pick like more meta style champs, they don't play it well. I'm like, we like for example, like someone will pick Ashe support. I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna shit on these guys in lane, right? And my support just literally AFKs behind me or something. I'm like, oh my god, like I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this.
Yeah.
So it's really a flip when it comes to is a game useful or not, because sometimes you'll get a human support.
Other times.
Or sometimes you'll just get someone who is locked in Sona and they're just AFK, and I'm like, this is so. One is boring and it's lame because you're like just playing the game, hoping that enemy doesn't do anything as well.
Yeah.
And then eventually you're gonna group mid, and then nothing's gonna happen. Both teams are really bad at team fighting, and then it's just fiesta.
Wait, so how do you improve? Because I've seen there's a lot of games in teams where it's like bot lane will just ruin games in scrims because they're trying to figure out matchups.
I mean, personally,
I
know my matchups pretty well. I think because I've played a while, like I have some experience now, so like I have like a general idea. At this time, this side wins. At this time, like whoever else gets blah blah blah. So maybe solo queue isn't where I give them that match information. It's just where I practice the champs and just make sure I can execute well.
Okay.
But maybe for someone who's more of a rookie, it could be rough to use solo queue's data at all. Because one, people don't use the champs to like the full like strength, or like they don't push the limit sometimes. But in scrims, like you can't like, it feels bad to completely grief a game because like you don't know how to play this champion versus the matchup. It feels really bad because you waste the game.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and just learn and try not to make the same mistake again ever.
Sniper, as the rookie, it's usually pretty hard to, I guess, efficiently learn in your first year. But like, what's your general like thought process on growth, and like, is the coaching staff or any players you have like helping you out, especially with River on your team?
Yeah, I mean, everything I think Tactical said was like very valid. Starting off as like a rookie, and I think like scrims are like just super important.
Yeah.
So just treating every single game like it's kind of like your last, is like kind of the mindset that I have when it comes to scrims right now. So I'm just putting like full intensity into that. And yeah, you mentioned River as well. He's also been like helping me like a crazy ton.
Yeah.
I don't even know if crazy ton makes sense, but like he's been helping me a lot.
Yeah.
In terms of like my lane matchups and just like just the mid to late game, So I do think that my way, like the best way for me to improve is kind of just putting so much intensity into scrims and just taking like, I guess, a lot of information out of that and then translating that into solo queue and kind of just like, just focusing on the things that I do in scrims to solo queue. And then it just like goes both ways.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That makes sense to me. And I think the reason why I feel like this matters a lot is because this is the first time in a long time where I'm like, I look at the standings and every team is pretty close. Yeah. Like FlyQuest is the one team that I think is like doing really well right now, and it's probably just the best team at the moment. Like it just depends. But like you guys, a lot of people, I think I had you as last place in my power rankings.
It's based.
My bad.
Based.
Like Dignitas feels like they're improving. So overall, like just for you guys, who are you guys like looking out for as a team, like for the next half a split? Like at the team that's probably not where they should be, but you think are stronger. I'm looking at you, Palafox. You guys just lost to Shopify. In fact, Shopify not only beat you, but beat Cloud9. So they only beat the top teams, and they have a really weird play style.
I think that there's just a lot of players that. All right, let's say IMT, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at Mask specifically. I think that our Mal is not too comfortable on engaged champions. Even the Nocturne today, he built pretty herbivore, I think that generally IMT aims for scaling. I think that Mask aims for Orianna and Jace as like comfort picks. Outside of that, I don't think he's really too confident much. So you can kind of like break teams through draft, I think. And I actually think 100 is a little bit harder to figure out. Quid has more options, and I think you have a lot of options too. And it seems like Meech is Meech, right?
Yeah.
It's Meech.
He's like willing to like try stuff, is what it seems like, right? Whether or not it'll work, it does make it like harder to like see a clear path of like, oh, we can draft this and just win against them, right? And it just depends on like individual strength at that point. For C9, they're not meshing, so obviously I think if C9 meshes, they'll be higher. If C9 doesn't, they'll be lower.
Yeah.
FlyQuest, same thing as IMT, Jensen, Orianna, Azir. Azir has a lot of counters right now, so really it's just ban Orianna, counter Azir.
Yeah.
I think Inspired's an interesting one. Brand Lilia, OP. He's really good at them. Jensen won't play dog jungles for him, so here's a little hint if anyone's playing them. So you can either ban out Jensen's Ori or ban out pairings with Brand Lilia, force them into a bad draft.
He played Tristana today.
Yeah, but like,
Maybe that might be his only pick,
dude,
honestly.
just force him on Tristana. Dude, he's not good at the champ. Hopefully your mid laner can punish it,
Yeah.
If he can't, then it's whatever. So that being said, I think we test out a lot on NRG. I think we're kind of placed like fairly. I think at the end, I feel confident that we'll be like in finals anyways. Outside of that, I think if you guys open up your draft identity a bit more, you guys could be pretty good. And
What about our team? What do you
I'm ready for this one.
wild
Talking
card.
about
Yeah,
Mario,
Your
talking
team is
about Cloud9.
like wild card.
I mean, Scooter played the Aatrox mid today.
How good can you guys be is like the question, like individually and as a team.
I see.
Gotcha,
Right?
okay.
I think
That's very fair.
it's like a super flip. Like I actually have very bad read on your team.
Got you, okay.
But actually, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go for it.
Yesterday versus you guys, oh my god, the draft, I had a headshot draft, but we didn't do it.
yeah.
What was? Oh, like,
No, I can't say
you
it.
can't say it. You can't
why
say it. I mean, the game is over.
Yeah.
Because it might be what happens to me in the future.
Okay, okay.
Similar
That
situation.
is true. I think we're going to be playing against each other one more time.
Okay, yeah.
There it is.
We
That's
just-
fair.
Probably
That's
just
fair.
better to say
My
that.
brain.
I mean, it's a BO1. We gotta cheese them when we can. You know, like,
Okay.
not even cheese. We gotta headshot them when we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty true.
But like, okay, that sounds good. You talk about your own team because I had you guys as like, third last team, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm definitely wrong.
Yeah.
But you guys will. It's just hard to predict based off of like Meech. I feel is consistent, is like playing well like every time. You and mid lane, I think, will have fucking crazy games.
Yes, sir.
So like, it just depends. Like what is your thought process on your own team so far this split? Because it feels like you guys are you're better than where you expected to be.
Expect to be, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good question, to be honest. I think River and Quid are like really, really insane, by the way. Like going into the split, I didn't think like Quid would be like, I guess up there with the other mid laners.
Yeah.
But like he surprised me so much. And same with River. Like this guy's just all over the place, you know? He's just like completely carrying our games. And I'm just like trying to be as consistent as possible. So like, or just because of how just good like everybody's playing
Yeah.
around the map, you know? It's not only River and Quid. I think like Ballion's also like very consistent in their role. So the next step is like whether I can also, be consistent as well, like everybody else. So I think my team is really insane and we're only gonna get better from there.
All right. Looking ahead, I have just like the kind of matchups for like I think the standout matchups for all three of you for next week. You guys, okay, both NRG and 100 Thieves face Cloud9. Okay, so like you guys face Cloud9 on Saturday, you on Sunday.
Sunday.
It'd be
And then-
really funny if you guys beat them.
We will be.
It's just really funny to see some teams lose. You know?
Very fair. That's
It's
very
like
fair,
it's just funny. That's
yeah.
all.
Yeah, especially Cloud9.
Yes,
They're
yes,
like
yes.
superstar. Oh my god.
Yes,
So
exactly.
And you got FlyQuest. It'd be really
Good luck,
funny if
bro.
you
Yeah,
guys
it'd be really funny if we won.
luck.
It'd be really
Yeah.
funny if you guys beat FlyQuest.
Yes.
Any final thoughts? We kind of just pretty much wrap up. Any final thoughts for the podcast? No?
Just I appreciate you for letting us be in this podcast, or letting me be here at least.
All right.
It was a good time.
I appreciate you guys being here. That's going to be it for pros, guys. Of course, if you're on YouTube, thank you. If you're not, check it out on YouTube. Appreciate you guys.
Bye.